Hi, it's Cassie from Modern Marketing Spark. Going to share with you today 3 social media marketing tips that will save you time, help you get organised and avoid overwhelm. Now here's just some of the online marketing tricks which keep me sane, and I always recommend these to my clients and my students too. Number 1 is to simplify. You don't need to be on every social media platform. It's just totally overwhelming if you're trying to do everything. So what I suggest is picking 1 or 2 social media platforms. Now these will either be based on the platforms where your ideal clients and customers are going to be, and or the platforms that you enjoy spending time on. Obviously, if you can get those 2 things, you've really cracked it. But if you, I know people have said to me, I absolutely hate Facebook or I hate Twitter, and then the next question is, should I be on Facebook? And I say no. If you don't like Facebook, or you're scared of Twitter, you've never used LinkedIn or Google+, don't focus on those platforms. So keep things really simple. Focus on 1 or 2 platforms, preferably platforms that you like, that you have fun on. But it's really important that your ideal clients and customers are on those platforms too. And my tip with this is to get really good at those platforms. So I know people who are running 6-figure businesses off 1 platform. So I know someone who's running a 6-figure business just using LinkedIn. I know someone else that's totally dominating on Twitter. And I know someone that's completely running their business from Google+. So you don't need to be on all the platforms to market your business successfully online. Tip number 2 is to get organised and use a content calendar. Now I use Calendar Labs, which is it's a free calendar template that you download from the web, and I plan month by month. So what you can do, you can plan, here this example is planning to post on certain platforms on certain days. But what I do is take a step back and think about your marketing priorities for the next 3 to 6 months. So think about what you've got coming up. And rather than constantly promoting, which can get a bit draining, can't it? And it can be tiring and people get fed up of hearing from you all the time. Focus on a theme or a key promotion every week. That keeps things a bit fresher. So here's a link to calendarlabs.com, and I print out month by month calendars, and then I tend to have, depending on the client or depending on what I'm focusing on, I tend to have a theme per week. But it might be based around a webinar you've got coming up, might be based on a promotion that you're working on. But get ahead of yourself and you'll feel much more control. Now, things that you might want to think about when you're putting together your marketing calendar: book or product launches, events that you've got coming up, speaking engagements, workshops and webinars, so many different things, joint venture promotions, you might be marketing somebody else's event that's coming up. And don't forget as well, special occasions. So let's say, for example, you're marketing to women business owners, then something like International Women's Day is going to be quite important on the calendar. So have a look and see what some of the special days are. I've got solicitor clients who we tie certain promotions around certain days depending on the different departments that are relevant to them. So lots of different things you can do. There's some global days, sort of Easter and Christmas, and things like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. If you're in a business where you can capitalise on some of those special days, you can build those into your calendar as well. So schedule these into your calendar, and here's the really clever bit. There's lots and lots of free and almost free scheduling tools that you can use to plan ahead. So once you've got your calendar, you know what's coming up, you know what your theme or promotion is that you're working on, you can use some tools to actually help you automate your marketing and to schedule in advance, and that really, really takes the pressure off. I don't ever advocate scheduling all of your social media, because you do need to be there, you do need to engage and interact human to human, as it were. But it takes a lot of pressure off to be able to schedule your core messages. I usually do a week in advance. So let me show you some of the tools that I use on a regular basis, some of them every day. And also I do recommend to my clients and students. The first one is HootSuite. HootSuite is free, I think, for 3 platforms. So if you're only focusing on 2, let's say you're just doing Twitter and Facebook, then it would be free to use HootSuite. And HootSuite gives you a fantastic dashboard where you can monitor all of your social media activity in one place. They've got fantastic analytics. They've got link shorteners, so you can take your URLs and shorten them down and track how many people are clicking on them. And then you can schedule. They've got a fantastic scheduling tool. Now there is a bit involved with HootSuite, but it's not really that difficult. But I ran a webinar, very popular webinar, which is the replays available. It's at mmspark.com/HootSuite-webinar, and if you go there, you'll be able to access the replay of that webinar, and it takes you through how to set up your HootSuite account, some of the key factors in using HootSuite and getting the most out of HootSuite, and then the analytics and the reports as well. So really useful webinar if you would like to use HootSuite and you haven't used it before, or maybe you use it and you'd like a few tips. Second scheduling tool, which is really, I find this invaluable, is WordPress. If you've got a WordPress website, you may or may not be blogging, but I don't know whether you know, you can schedule your posts in advance. So when you go to the publish menu in WordPress, there's the option just to publish, which will publish immediately, as you can see here. But if you click on the edit button next to the publish immediately, this pops up, the little calendar scheduling tool pops up, and you can actually schedule your blog posts in advance. So that's really handy. And you can, based on your theme, you could actually schedule a blog post a week. You could do a whole month's worth. If you wrote 3 or 4 blog posts, you've got a quiet day on a Sunday or something, you could write your blog posts in advance and then schedule them for next month. And again, I don't recommend that you're not spontaneous, but it really takes the pressure off to be able to do some of these things in advance. The third set of tools this is around email marketing, whether you're creating a newsletter or you want to send out your blog posts, perhaps you're doing some email marketing, or you've got an e-sign. The tools I recommend, there's 3 of them. If you're completely new to this, I always recommend you start with MailChimp. It's free for the first 2,000 email addresses. Very easy to use. There's lots of fantastic tutorials. I've got lots of MailChimp tips and tutorials as well, but they have their own, which are very good. Brilliant place to get started. If you want to up your game a bit, I recommend, I've actually, for the last 6 or 7 years, I've always used Aweber. Aweber is about $19 a month, which is about £12 a month if you're in the UK. And I love Aweber, but it does have some limitations. So I've recently moved to ActiveCampaign, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's got a lot of automations and tags and things built in so that you can do a lot. It's a lot more sophisticated, but it's not as complicated or as expensive as something like Infusionsoft. So I would say if you're starting out, start with MailChimp and get used to how the email marketing systems work with MailChimp. If you want to go professional, but you don't want to make things too complicated too quickly, I definitely recommend Aweber, and I've got lots of training on Aweber, so I've used Aweber for 6 or 7 years now and absolutely love it. But the ultimate for me at the moment is ActiveCampaign, because it's got lots of automations and tagging, and it links with my contact management system and does lots of clever things that the other 2 more basic email providers don't do. But you can't really go wrong with any of these, and they're all perfectly adequate, and they're all CAN spam compliant, and all of them have scheduling tools so that you can set up your newsletter or your email blasts or your e-signs, and you can schedule those in advance. Well, I hope you found this video useful and these 3 tips useful. If you have, please share them with anyone that you think might find them useful too. And I'd love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm creating regular videos like this, sharing lots of tips and tricks and shortcuts. So do subscribe to my channel. Do please share this video. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.